What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Got a really cool replay for you guys to check out. This one happened during Saturday's tournament, and this is Cardians versus Mass Heroes. I think I'd still have to classify this as a non-meta duel. Obviously, I believe that Heroes are going to be a very strong deck, especially post-Invasion Vengeance, but you can play Heroes right now, and it's still a really solid deck. But Cardians, not so much, mainly because like you just don't have everything you need to build the deck. Some of their cards are in Dragons and Legends, but they don't have both their synchros. The other card comes out in Invasion Vengeance. They just don't have all their pieces yet, so I'm not really sure that you can build like a great successful Cardian deck now, considering you don't really have all the tools. Now, just for I guess a brief summary of Cardians, the best that I can give it anyways, because I'll just let you know I will probably mess up a couple of times in this replay, because a lot of their names are kind of difficult to pronounce. They're all like Japanese, and when I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V and I watched the Cardians and ENJOYYYYYY, I watched it obviously sub, so I only know these guys, but they're Japanese names and they're super difficult to pronounce. So anyways, Cardians are synchro based. They're actually weirdly designed because they're based around a whole bunch of super high level monsters and then a bunch of like level 1 monsters. A lot of them have, you know, really low stats, like 100 and 1,000 attack, and they're not really beat sticks. They're not really beat sticks. Usually you use the synchros to kind of like get monsters off the board as far as like running stuff over. They do have a decent amount of removal, and what's really cool about them is they have so much goddamn draw power. It is almost absurd how much draw power this deck has. It's weird because a lot of them, even though they're high level, they kind of work similar to Hieratics. They kind of work on the principle of special summoning themselves by tributing a Cardian on the field, and then a lot of times when they are tributed, they let you draw a card, and if it is a Cardian, not only do you get to keep that card, but then a lot of times you get special effects, like you get to blow up a monster on the board, or you get to blow up a back row, and they just have so many like so much draw support. I don't even mean the like pieces like Allure of Darkness and trade-in that you can run. I mean, they have cards where you can shuffle a Cardian back into your deck from the graveyard and you draw a card, or there's one that basically lets you shuffle any amount of Cardians back into your deck and draw a bunch of cards. So they're a pretty interesting archetype, and they've got a bunch of cards that let them actually stack their deck, which is really cool because they are very similar to, I guess, Sylvans, and the fact that there's kind of this weird element of chance, very similar to like Sylvans and Lightsworns, because you guys are probably thinking, well, Cap, what happens if you draw a monster and it's not a Cardian? It goes to the graveyard, and the way that you make sure that you draw your Cardians is by basically just stacking your deck. This is the card right here, Hanazumi. It lets you take 3 Cardians and stack them on top of your deck, so that generally when you want to go off, you're always going to be hitting Cardians. But this is just going to show you guys how explosive this deck really can be, and I'm not going to be able to explain it perfectly because it's fucking Cardians, man. It's like a really difficult deck to explain when it's going on. So anyways, playing against Heroes, this happened during the tournament. You see Master Juan opens up really good. He's got the Monk. Monk goes into Shadow Mist, so he already has Dark Law like 100% locked and loaded. He also special summons the Bubble Man, so he has Rafflesia as well. So, man, if you just analyze his board, you've got Dark Law right here, and then you've got Rafflesia, so that's going to lock out one of your opponent's big summons. And then you have Dimension Barrier, which I believe is going to be called Dimension Boundary when it comes out in November. And then you have Dimension Barrier, which basically says, all right, well, you're not going to fusion summon. I'm going to lock out you from maybe synchro summoning or from going into like a C summon. This is a really strong field, not quite as good as if it would have had Treat Toad, but it's still a very strong field. And then he has the recovery play here with the mass change, or excuse me, the mass charge. But just watch what Cardians can do. Like, they can just take this field and basically say no. I believe he top decked Choi Kokoi. It's such a stupid card. It's so like Luxaki base. All right, so he activated his Flower Gathering, which is it's kind of like Obedient School on crack. It lets you summon 4 Cardians from your deck. They have to have 100 attack, and they have to be like different monsters, and their effects are negated. But the cool thing is, and also they can't be used for a tribute summon, because it would be kind of ridiculous if like you could activate this and like tribute for a god card. But the thing is, you can still use them to summon your other Cardians, because as I said, the Cardians, even though they cost tribute, they're considered actually as special summons, very similar to, again, Hieratics. Plus you can also synchro with these guys too, and Cardians do have some monsters that actually adjust the levels of your monsters. So let's see exactly what's going to happen here. Now you see he goes instantly into Dark Law. He probably probably doesn't know what's going to happen here. Dimension Boundaries played, he activates that and he calls Synchro because, again, it's a Synchro deck, so he's like, oh man, I don't know if you're going to try and summon your tuner. You haven't used your normal summon yet. I don't want you to Black Rose my field. I don't want you to do anything nutty. I'm just going to go ahead and call Synchro so that you can't do anything. And this is where Cardians basically start doing what they're going to do. You're going to see he's going to tribute a lot of Cardians. He's going to special a lot of Cardians. And this is the one that when, if you top deck a Cardian, or if you draw a Cardian off of it, you get to blow a card up. Since he only has Mass Charge set, that's probably going to be the card that gets blown up. Now, it is bad because, obviously, when you're drawing cards, Danklaw is just like, I'm going to take them cards out of your hand. He does summon one of his big Cardians, but Rafflesia just puts it face down. But the thing is, he doesn't really have anything else. See, this guy right here, this guy has that same type of effect that when you special summon it, instead of blowing up a back row, this one blows up a monster. So Darklaw goes down, and that turn one field that was super impressive, not looking so hot anymore. All he has is Rafflesia, which has already used this effect, and Grand Chapaldungo has a full field of Cardians. Granted, this guy can't be flip face up, but he still has a full field of Cardians, and there are actually some Cardians that when you attack them, they end the battle phase, they let you draw cards. There's so much draw power in this deck. It's actually really cool. It's a super offensive deck. I don't think Cardians are going to ever run many traps. Now, they can tribute summon, and what's cool about that is, well, not about the tribute summoning, this deck can actually exceed summon. He goes into Pain Gainer because, again, there are so many high-level monsters that you can get on the field with Flower Gathering that they can actually summon things like Pain Gainer and Seven Sins. Obviously, there's not much that Rafflesia can do against Pain Gainer. When he summons the Seven Sins, he's going to try and bottomless, but come on now, like, that's not going to happen. Joy is like the most luck-sacky card in this entire deck. You excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you special summon as many Cardians that were excavated as possible. This is, again, I say this deck is like a weird, if I guess like Sylvans and Heretics had a baby, Cardians would be that baby. So it's kind of a luck-sacky card, but if you stack your deck, you know what you're going to go into. He goes into the Old God, or excuse me, the Old Entity. This is the one, I'm not going to try and pronounce its name. You guys are just going to make fun of me if I do. This is the one that when it's Synchro Summon, it actually spins all level 4 monsters or all rank 4 monsters back to the extra deck. So this duel has completely been flipped on its head. I mean, you saw that turn 1 field of Rafflesia, Darklaw, and Dimension Barrier, and it's just like, it's all gone. Like, every single one of it is gone as Rafflesia goes back to the extra deck. And now all Master Juan has is an MST that's dead, a Bubble Man, and a Rhoda. So he does actually go for the special summon. I don't understand why here. Maybe there's something that I just didn't see, guys, but I don't understand why he went Shadow Mist, Bubble Man, and he went into Castell. Doesn't the better play, like, I thought Utopia the Lightning would have been the better play. And first I was like, oh, well, he doesn't run a Utopia the Lightning. That's a big deal. But no, he totally runs a Utopia the Lightning. I just, like, he would have had a bigger monster because now, like, Castell could just be ran over by this guy. Right? So I don't really understand. I think he just kind of gave up at that point. He gets himself a Bubble Man. He attacks, but that monster actually lets him draw when destroyed by battle. And then you're just able to see he's able to just special more cards, ends up top decking a Cardian, so he gets to keep it. Trade-ins played. He still has a Lord of Darkness. Activates another Choikokoi, gets a monster off that. And, you know, Cardians they're really able to push the tempo super, super fast, especially against decks that don't run a lot of back row. And heroes can run a lot of back row. I would say that Rafflesia kind of counts as like half of a back row because it's like a built-in bottomless trap hole. But if you don't have a whole bunch of back row, this deck can really like just completely mess you up. So Cardian's able to get through Rafflesia plus Darklaw plus Dimension Barrier extremely easy. And you see, even at the end of the duel, I mean, he still had like 4 monsters in hand plus an Allure of Darkness. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I just wanted to show you guys something different. I like to keep up with, you know, some of the off-meta decks. Although technically, you know, Cardians do have a chance to become meta once they get all their cards in Invasion Vengeance or possibly in Raging Tempest. We'll have to see if Konami's going to give them even more support. Anyways, thank you guys for watching as always. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and, you know, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you guys have never entered my tournaments, this is sometimes some of the crazy action that happens in our tournaments. And even though this was only 1 game, Heroes did ultimately win this match. But I'm sorry, I thought this was the more hype. Like, this was the hypest game of the 3. So I was like, fuck that. I need to enjoy. I'm going to put this on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching as always.